Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope your day is going really well, and if it's not, then hopefully this video will cheer you up. I am Jinsula, and today we're going to be talking about something that was recently discovered within Pokémon GO. Actually, I wouldn't say discovered, it's more something that Niantic is testing out right now. But apparently there's going to be some sort of new AR feature that is coming to Pokémon GO, and it's going to be a Pokémon playground. Now the way that this is going to supposedly work is that within certain Pokestops and gyms, there's going to be a new functionality that's going to allow you to actually play with your Pokémon and other players' Pokémon. It's essentially going to be a dog park within Pokémon GO, and it's going to utilize AR features so that you can actually see in real time other people's Pokémon in the area. And to be honest with you, I think this is something that is not necessary in Pokémon GO, and I'm a little disappointed that a lot of development resources are going into these sort of features. Don't get me wrong, I think this feature is something that could be really good for Pokémon GO. I think for Niantic to develop these sort of things is not a bad thing per se, but I feel like at this point in the game there are other things that Niantic should be working on rather than these sort of unnecessary features. If the game was in a much better place, then yeah, I think adding these sort of things would definitely create a lot more engagement. But in my opinion, there's a lot of things with Pokémon GO that are currently a problem that Niantic should be focusing on before they move on to these sort of new features. One thing for sure is that when it comes to PvP, it is basically unplayable for a majority of players. Like, compared to previous seasons, it's just full of a lot of different bugs and server issues. And if you jump into PvP right now, it's a very bad experience, and only those who are just heavily dedicated to getting the highest ranks are the ones that are actually flourishing. But for the average player, it's extremely difficult to get into PvP right now because of all the different issues. And then the same goes for raid battles, because when it comes to raiding, that is probably the core gameplay mechanic in Pokémon GO. It's where you get all your legendaries and rare candies and rare candy XLs, so it's something that pretty much every single player needs to engage in. And yet for the past couple of years, there has been a flurry of different issues that has caused players to either not get the Pokemon that they desire or to lose out on raid passes, which are purchased with premium coins. So I really do think these are some of the pressing things that Niantic should be focusing on, and instead of doing that, they're releasing new features constantly, and a lot of these features really do not do anything for the game. I mean, aside from this Pokemon Playground feature, they also released routes, party play, they also released new AR functionalities, as well as an update to avatars. And yet, none of this stuff really stuck. A lot of players do not necessarily care about some of these most recent new features, and a big reason for that is because they're so focused on other aspects of the game that needs a lot of fixing. And I think this is something that I have seen a lot of, especially within my local communities, that there is this level of frustration that Niantic is not prioritizing certain areas of the game over others, and players are definitely fed up with that. I mean, for a lot of people that I talk to, usually it's during Wednesday raid hours, and when it comes to Wednesday raid hours, there's typically 1 or 2 players within a group of about 10 or 20 people that are experiencing a whole bunch of different server issues, and they end up not having a very positive experience, and in most cases, they'll bring down the mood for everyone else in that party. And I think these are some of the things that Niantic needs to work on. They need to make sure that when it comes to Pokémon GO's rating, that is something that is polished up. But for a feature that is almost a decade old at this point, like, Niantic hasn't done much with it. Like, as long as Pokémon GO has been around, rating has been the core aspect of this game. It's been the lifeblood of Pokémon GO, and yet Niantic is not taking care of it the way that they should be. And I think because of that, a lot of players who are longtime players are feeling really fed up with a lot of these new features, and I really think Niantic needs to reprioritize what they do with their development dollars and energy, and I really think they need to focus in on fixing what's already there. Now, aside from party play, there is of course the Wild Area event that's going to be kicking off really soon, and I think with that, Niantic has been dedicating a lot of development dollars and energy into. And personally, I don't disagree with that per se, because when it comes to live in-person events like Go Tour and Go Fest, that's one of the ways that they can improve the game by having these become better experiences. And because Niantic has been dedicating a lot more energy into these live in-person events, they've certainly improved over the past couple of years. And I have to say that I wish they gave that same level of energy to some of the daily gameplay mechanics like raiding and PvP, because as of right now, it just feels like Niantic is focusing in on the wrong things, and you know, a lot of that might be because they are a tech company before they are a game studio. I think they've been very open about that, and for much of us who have been playing Pokemon Go for several years, we are totally aware of that sentiment. I mean, everything that they do seems to be around AR, it seems to be around all the different little technologies within Pokemon Go that it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have better gameplay, it just means they're trying to show off their tech so that they could get more contracts with other companies to develop similar apps like Pokemon Go. I feel like that's more the direction and philosophy behind Niantic and Pokemon Go, rather than them trying to create a very good gaming experience, because if it was the flip, where they actually cared about the gameplay experience of Pokemon Go, I feel like we wouldn't be having these long-standing issues. But because when it comes to raiding and when it comes to PvP, they don't necessarily enforce the AR gameplay aspect, I feel like that's the reason why they haven't really been paying attention to these two aspects of the game. And I think it's a real shame, because aside from the AR mechanics, which, mind you, are actually really cool and really well developed, I feel like for the gameplay experience, that should be the main focus for what they do with Pokemon Go, because if they do not do that, then players are not going to play their game. And if people do not play their game, then a lot of these AR mechanics and a lot of these things that they are developing are going to be completely missed by the community, and they're going to lose a lot of value on top of it. So if they're trying to sell these sort of mechanics to other companies, then they need to make sure that what they're doing behind those mechanics are actually producing fun experiences. Otherwise, people are going to look at those mechanics and not necessarily want it for their apps, because players are not having fun with the game where it's being showcased. That's some of the logic that I'm thinking of, and this is really coming from having a history in game development, where if we're trying to come up with new and unique things within a game, we always try to focus in on whether or not that new thing is going to produce fun. And yeah, some people will have fun with this Pokemon Playground mechanic, and I think for some players it's something that they probably are looking forward to, because they really enjoy AR gameplay. And I really do think Niantic needs to realize that that is going to be a minority. Not a lot of players actually care about AR when it comes to Pokemon Go, even though it is a foundational part of the game. So I really do think Niantic needs to have some internal discussions regarding what they are prioritizing, because I think there has been such a huge disconnect between Pokemon Go players as well as Niantic when it comes to what people want for the future of this game. Niantic seems to be going down a very specific direction, and like I said, it's totally understandable considering the culture and the core mission of Niantic itself, but I think for us as Pokemon Go players, we need to actually have a say in all of this. I mean, like I said, if they were to fix up raiding and if they were to fix up PvP and then actually develop a lot of these new features, I think it would be a lot more positively received, and I think it would be a lot better for Pokemon Go. But because Niantic is neglecting some of the aspects that players actually enjoy, a lot of this new stuff is just falling by the wayside, and I really want Niantic to avoid that. But of course, this is just my own thoughts and opinions based on my experiences with Pokemon Go and some of the people that I talk to within my community. I totally recognize that this is not going to be a universal opinion. There's definitely going to be a lot of people who will disagree with me, and I think that's totally fine, because if we're not having discussions regarding this stuff, then I don't think we're going to be able to move forward with Pokemon Go. And then when it comes to Niantic, I really hope they're not being selective with the feedback that they're getting, because overall, I think every voice should matter when it comes to the future of this game. It's honestly a really fun game that I could see lasting for 10, 20, even 30 more years if Niantic were to play ball with the Pokemon Go community and not expect the Pokemon Go community to just get behind everything that they do. So yeah, hopefully these discussions will continue to happen, hopefully the Pokemon Go community will continue to give that feedback, and then hopefully Niantic will receive it well, so that we can have a more secure future for this game. And with that said, that's essentially going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share my thoughts regarding all of this. Over the weekend when I was over in Hawaii, I actually noticed a couple of Reddit posts regarding this Pokemon Playground feature, and I just had to share some thoughts regarding it because, yeah, it just continues to be a pattern with Niantic, and I really do think that I need to voice my opinions, and I think a lot of other players would like to as well. So I wanted to voice some of those opinions for them, and if that happens to be you, I really hope this message gets across to Niantic for all of our sakes. And if you completely disagree with me on everything that I talked about, definitely share why in the comments down below. I would love to know your opinions, and I want to know why maybe I'm wrong about all of this, and yeah, hopefully that will produce some really good discussions. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one.